Hello guys, welcome back to our channel Any-Motion, and today we'll be talking about the latest chapter of One Piece 1155, which ironically should have been named as Rock's Bizarre Adventure from what we see unfolds in this chapter. So 1155 begins where we left off in 1154, that is Loki jumping off a cliff to kill himself, which he was not able to do, and then Rocks showed up and asked him two questions: is it Elbaf and is King Herald here in Elbaf? After Loki confirmed that Herald was not present at Elbaf, then Rocks came up with a plan of injuring Loki, then calling Herald back to see his injured son. Loki, who was just a kid at a time, suffered the full wrath of Rocks and understood how strong a human can be, because earlier he had a misconception of, I am strong, I am a giant, I can do anything. Humans are not strong, they are puny, they are weak, and I as a giant, as a strong person, will rule the world. Shattered into pieces after being hit by a relatively strong attack, considering what we saw Rocks can do in the chapter later and what feats he accomplished through. This is probably my favorite part of the whole chapter, that is Rocks aura farming in front of Imu-sama. Like whenever Imu is there on a panel of any chapter, he is the guy who is aura farming all the time. But when Rocks showed up in his flower room that nobody has ever done before, he was just a complete beast who was just standing there and aura farming. He also told Imu that, hey, I'll be back soon, very soon probably, but he is dead now. Imagine when Blackbeard shows up in the Holy Land and just go to the flower room and look into Imu's eyes and say, hey, I told you I'll be back. That would be a shocking panel if the theory of Rocks being Blackbeard is true, that is. In the same flashback, we can see him fight King Herald, and the Conqueror Haki wave was 5 kilometers in radius. I think that is the highest radius of any Conqueror Haki wave that knocked out everyone inside of it. I don't really recall any other fight that took place canonly or shown in the whole manga that had a kilometer range of 5 kilometers. That is probably half of the red line if I'm not wrong, although I have to check that fact. Some of the feats that were achieved by Rocks in this one chapter were probably some of the highest feat achieved by anyone in the whole manga. He just straight up killed an admiral that no one has ever done in the whole series. The only person to ever defeat an admiral, not kill them, is Akainu or Sakazuki, who defeated Aokiji or Kuzan in the fight in Punk Hazard that made half of the island ice and half of the island magma. And you can also debate if Luffy in Gear 5th actually defeated Kizaru, as was he using his full power, was he using his Logi awakening, or was he struggling with internal conflict? Because if you read the SBS segments, Oda just said that Kizaru was the one who bought Luffy food, so that also doesn't make sense that he was actually fighting in full power. Also, that is up for debate and people are always debating about it. Tell me in the comments down below, what do you think? Did Luffy actually defeated Kizaru, or was Kizaru actually willing to lose the fight because he was going through an internal struggle of killing his best friend? Another crazy feat achieved by Rocks in the chapter is to destroy a gate of justice. A freaking gate of justice. Are you kidding me? One of the largest structures we have ever seen in the whole series, that even Whitebeard was willing to go underneath it and then open it by force, not to destroy it. He just casually destroyed it off screen. That was a pretty wild feat to achieve. If I have to speculate, I would speculate the only persons in history who could actually destroy a gate of justice would be Akainu at his full strength, Prime Whitebeard, Prime Roger, and Prime Garp probably. But Rocks actually doing that shows how strong he is, with or without a devil fruit. No one can argue that Rocks was some weakling or he was just some show off. This just shows how strong Rocks actually was and why he was feared among the sea for such a long time. And finally, we can spot various new ROCKS crew members in the background, such as the highly anticipated Ochoku and new Dawn of the West Blue and Ganzai, the guy with the golden or yellowish armor we can see in the God Valley flashback and he was also one of the general zombies in the Thriller Bark arc. Speaking about that, I do remember Moria pretty often, and his power seemed pretty cool to me, and he could be so much useful if he actually used his power. But he's probably not going to be much important in the upcoming arcs. If he joins Cross Guild, it will be pretty interesting to see, although I don't think he's going on that route. And finally, Davy Jones, Davy Wack fight. Who doesn't love good old Davy Jones? Anyone who has watched Pirate of the Caribbean probably know how good Davy Jones was as a character and how he died. Long live Captain Jack Sparrow. But coming back to the chapter, we could see how he recruited Whitebeard, Shiki and the others in his crew by participating in various Davy back fights. We can also see him boxing. That is kind of wild to see and pretty fun to watch. That Rocks was a down-to-earth guy probably. And his bounty poster. Wow. That was a dead giveaway that he is somehow connected to Buggy. So ROCKS.D.XEBEC is still going on, guys. That's so much good to see that Buggy is going to be somehow related to Rocks. Or I just teasing everyone who loves Buggy like me. This was probably one of the great chapters coming out in the whole year, and I would like to call this chapter as Rocks' Bizarre Adventure. This chapter actually portrayed Rocks and how strong he is, and probably setting up to a God Valley flashback. If we're lucky, we are going to see this right now, or probably down the line we're going to finally see the most or highly anticipated flashback of all time in the whole community or in the whole manga or anime world. And that is great to see that little by little we are approaching that flashback. So this was a fantastic chapter, a dead giveaway to Rocks and Buggy being connected. I loved it. I hope you all loved it as well. If you guys are watching the video till the end, thank you very much for watching the video, and I hope you guys liked it. And please help out a fellow One Piece and anime creator by liking and subscribing to the channel and commenting down below your thoughts about chapter 1155. Thank you. I am out.